What's up YouTube, Capital G here, giving you guys the Eidolon Beast Synchro deck that I showed off yesterday. Didn't put it in that video because the video was already 17 minutes. I wasn't sure how many people were going to stick around and watch the whole thing anyways, but I got a lot of people commenting saying that they wanted to see the deck profile, so here it is. As I said in the other video yesterday, and if you guys watched it, obviously this is not a prototypical version of Eidolon Beast. This one has a heavy focus on not just like hyper fusing or fusing multiple times in a turn. Generally, you don't fuse that often, like multiple times in a turn using summoning magic, but I mean fusing with like brilliant fusion and instant fusion and refusion, using those cards over and over and over again. You guys saw that Norden was summoned sometimes 2-3 times in a turn, but really this deck also has a focus on synchro summoning, which is pretty cool because cards like Ghost Ogre Snow Rabbits you can use from the hand. It's also pretty cool because you can just straight summon it from the deck, and it just has a whole lot of applications. I feel like the level 7 synchro has kind of been forgotten about. If any of you guys played during like the beginning of 5D's era, just the level 7 synchro was so goddamn good. It was almost out of control between things like Arcanite Magician, Dark Strike Fighter, and Blackwing Armor Master. Those were like some of the best cards in the entire game, and this deck is somewhat of a throwback in that sense. It's one of the only active decks that you can use to summon Arcanite Magician, which is a really good card against decks like Metaphors, against Pendulum decks where they keep a lot of their cards invested on the field, i.e. their Pendulum skills. You can summon Arcanite Magician, you can crack their scales, and then if Arcanite Magician isn't that useful because a lot of times it only have 400 attack, you can actually use things like Wonder Wand and just draw multiple cards. Cards like Moonlight Dragon and Zeta, those are really good against decks like ABC, Blue Eyes, and Metaphors, because to answer these cards, they generally have to throw like a pretty significant boss monster at them, and at that point, you can just activate their effects, and you can just like, you know, get that monster off the field. Like if they summon, I don't know, like Metaphors, Mithrium, or something like that, Zeta can obviously just banish it, and then that card obviously isn't a threat, or Moonlight can just bounce it. Now, what's really cool about this version is you run normal monsters. Well, I guess can we really say normal monsters, because obviously Garnet just kind of works hand in hand with the Brilliant engine or Brilliant fusion, you know, that whole thing. But obviously you get another normal monster in Neo the Magic Swordsman. A lot of people would be like, what the heck, this is going overboard. You're running these old ass, you know, like 2003 cards, but it actually has a lot of synergy. For one, it is a Wonder Wand target, and what this deck really wants to do is you want to basically have Brilliant Fusion and Instant Fusion in the same turn. You want to get to your Vion Cube or Vylon Cube so that you can obviously just like loop the fuck out of Refusion and OTK your opponents, or put a really big board that like they hopefully can't crack because you don't run any traps in this deck. And cards like Wonder Wand just like speed your deck up. And the thing that's cool about Neo is you can summon this straight from the deck. You guys see the couple of copies of Unexpected Die. This can be used for Neo. It can be used for Gem Knight Garnet, and it's just a card that kind of helps you get your plays. Another card that people might not be familiar with is this card right here, White Elephant's Gift. This is really important too because it just kind of acts like very similar to Wonder Wand. See, the thing about Wonder Wand and Elephant's Gift is they pretty much kind of can act like Destiny draws in this deck, where you just give up 2 cards and you get to draw 2 cards. And I know some people might think, oh, well, you have to use your normal summon on Neo or Garnet, but again, not necessarily. A, you have Unexpected Die, and number 2 or B, this deck normal summons twice a lot during its turns. You can double summon off of Seraphonite, which can be summoned through Brilliant Fusion. And then another card that people tend to forget about is Ancient Fairy Dragon. This is another card that can potentially give you 2 normal summons, and that's just really important in this deck because, you know, if you're able to get those normals on the field, get rid of them, draw a couple of cards, you can get to your combo pieces. This deck actually has a pretty good recovery game because of Instant Fusion, the fact that it has multiple targets in this deck, and because Soul Charge is just a stupid card that opens up a lot of plays. Now, some people might wonder why you run this over, you know, like Rare Fish for maybe the Bahamut Shark. Totally awesome plays because he does run Gigabytes in this deck, and obviously Norden is a water. The reason you don't run like Bahamut Shark, Totally Awesome, or Rare Fish is because I think it would just take too much spots up. Like it would just take up too much space in your extra deck. You need a lot of your level 7 synchros. Power Tool Dragon is super important because you'll notice this deck plays a lot of equips. We've got 3 copies of Wonder Wand. We've got some Refusions, so you want to be able to search those. And just a lot of these cards are too important. But another reason why you run this guy right here, the wizard, is because it is actually a Wonder Wand target. So, I mean, you see 3 copies of Wonder Wand, it might seem like overkill, but I mean, you're going to get Alistar turn 1 a lot of the times. And if you don't get Alistar turn 1, then hopefully you've gotten Brilliant Fusion where you can drop either Trick Clown in the graveyard, or hopefully you open with like Unexpected Die and you can get your Neo on the field and you can distribute that, or you get a situation where maybe you can make Ancient Fairy Dragon and you can double summon like one of the other spellcaster monsters out of your hand. And that's the reason why Gigapite is in here, because you know the spellcasters are going to hit the field a lot, so it's just another card that makes like rank 4 plays, or that can be used for like synchro plays. Basically get Vion Cube, get into the field early, and just, you know, abuse the fuck out of Norton over and over and over again. And, you know, try and make big fields where hopefully your Merkaba can kind of negate anything. Now, you cannot negate traps in this deck because you don't run any. So if your opponent is playing like Mirror Forces or something like that, you better hope that you get your Twin Twister. Now, you won't actually banish anything. I personally would not advise using things like Pop Duality in this deck because I think it's just too combo centric, and you wouldn't want to put yourself in a position where you banish both of your copies of Refusion. You could possibly lose off of that, or you banish your 1 Regeki, your 1 Teleport, or your 1 Twin Twister. Like, these are cards that are kind of like game winners potentially, so I wouldn't want to banish any of those cards. So let me know what you guys think of this deck. It's really fun. If you guys like Eidolon Beast and you're just looking for something a little different than kind of like the prototypical, because sometimes Eidolon Beast can be a little slow, especially with the dark one, the card that's kind of like a wind that kind of slows the game down. If you guys want like a super aggressive, hyper fast version of the deck, try this deck out. So if you guys enjoyed the video, smash that thumbs up button. Thank you guys for watching as always.